Hi, my name is Michael Friedlander, and the story I'd like to share with you now is one that I've called A Doer's Tale. How did I get to that title? Well, I saw a quote once from a woman whose name I can never either pronounce or remember that went something like this. The world needs dreamers and the world needs doers, but what the world really needs are dreamers who do. And this is a story that was told to me by a dreamer who does, which is why I called it A Doer's Tale. It just so happens that the person who told me the story is my cousin, Steven Linde, who at the time he told it to me was the editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post. Steve's father, my uncle, was a raconteur and storyteller extraordinaire, and every room he entered, he would simply capture. And fortunately, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, and Steve is as equally good a storyteller as his father. So in telling Steve's story, I'm under some pressure. I just hope that I can do some justice to it. So this is the story Steve told me. Some months ago, when Steve was in Los Angeles visiting our family, I told him about the gift tree, and I told him how it was a storytelling project in which we would tell true stories that would bear gifts that could make a difference for the better in people's lives. And Stephen looked at me and smiled and said, "Wow, do I have a story for you? Would you like to hear it?" And I said, "You betcha." And this was the story he told me. He said, 5 years ago, when he became the editor of the Post, he inherited his predecessor's private telephone line, and with that line, an elderly woman caller who used to call every 3 or 4 or 5 days sometimes, complaining about something in the Post that she had obviously read from cover to cover. There was a mistake in a headline, a grammatical mistake on page 4, column 3, paragraph 2. She wanted to know why some stories we covered and others we didn't. But anyway, generally, it was a negative experience. And Steve said, at times I found it really difficult to be patient with her because I was always working under these deadlines, and she would always seem to call at the most inopportune times. Anyway, the phone rings, and it's Hannah. And she says, "Steve?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "I am in such trouble. Can you help me? I am absolutely panicked." And I say to her, "Hannah, what's up?" And she said, "Steve, I don't know what to do. I'm in a crisis. I don't know. Can you help me?" I said, "Hannah, if you tell me what's wrong, I think I might be able to. I don't know, but tell me." She said, "Steve, I don't know what to do." I said, "Hannah, what's up?" She says, "Steve, I'm embarrassed." I said, "Hannah." She said, "Steve, my paper didn't arrive this morning." And now it is my turn to take a deep breath, Steve told me. He said, "Hannah, where do you live?" And she told me, and it was just around the corner from my office. So Steve said to her, "Hannah, relax, take a deep breath. We'll be there soon with the paper." And she said, "Thank you so much." And Steve continued. He said, "I was about to go down to the circulation department and get somebody there to take the paper down. And I thought, what the hell? It's a nice day. It's just around the corner. I'll take it myself." So I grab a paper and make for Hannah's address. When I get there, I discover it's a hospice for elderly, sick people. I ask the guy at the door where I could find Hannah, and he directs me down a long passage to the last door on the right. I go down the passage, just smelling the smell of disinfectant, which didn't surprise me. After all, it was a hospice. I knock on the door, and a voice beckons me in. I open the door, peek in, and I find a sparsely furnished room with only a bed, single bed, a table next to the bed, a lamp on the table, and a stack of Jerusalem Posts under the lamp. And Hannah is sitting on the bed in her nightgown. Well, I open the door, approach Hannah, and shake her hand and introduce myself. And I say, "Hannah, I'm Steve. You've been calling me for some years now. And here's the paper." And she says to me, "Steve, I don't know how to thank you. I'm embarrassed. I panicked so much, but I felt as if my life was in some kind of a crisis. I just didn't know what to do." You have to understand, the Jerusalem Post is my entire life. And when it didn't come this morning, I felt this sense of emptiness and despair. I just panicked. I don't know what to say, what to do. I'm embarrassed. But thank you so much for coming by and bringing it. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And I said to her, Hannah, don't worry, really. And if ever you have a problem again, feel free to contact me. You have my number. And if I can help you, I certainly will. And really, I hope you're doing fine here. And she said yes, she was. Anyway, I left and went back to my office. And he then says to me, Michael, something really struck me when I got back to the office. Firstly, I understood that the next time Hannah called, she wouldn't be an irritating woman who was always bugging me. She was now a real person. I would never be impatient with Hannah again. I understood her and her circumstance and the importance of the Jerusalem Post in her life. I would never be impatient with her again. And then I remembered another saying, that when something like this, that we are happiest when we give people a piece of our heart rather than a piece of our mind. And then the last thought that occurred to me was that, a little kindness never hurt anyone. And it's always worth the time and trouble to get to know the people with whom you deal. Not just for you, but for them too. Take the time, take the trouble. It's really worth it. And as Steve said that, and as he finished his story, I thought, wow, what a truly wonderful story. And isn't this really what the gift tree is all about? Offering a true story that presents a gift that can really make a difference for the better in people's lives. So the gift to me was totally clear. It never hurts to be kind. And always take the time and trouble to get to know the people with whom you're working. Really, it'll be good for you and really good for them. And that, my friends, is my story. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed telling it. And I look forward to sharing another story with you soon. Until then, be good and be well.